Welcome to our webinar this day. My name is David Cordova. I am the founder and CEO of Tornelo, and we're here today to give you just a quick overview and introduction to some of the main features of the platform. The session today will take around about 45 minutes, and we are going to do just a kind of a brief overview. We're not going to go into too much detail about all of the features, but we will kind of scratch the surface of a number of different areas. There'll be an opportunity for questions at the end of the session, so feel free to type your questions into the chat. We have Georgina Prokopova, who is here monitoring the chat, and she will help us to try and respond to some of those messages along the way, or to curate those ones. And at the end of the event, at the end of the formal presentation, then we'll be able to answer any and all of your questions. We don't have a huge number of people in the session, so we've got 17 participants in at the moment, so there'll be plenty of opportunity for individual question and answer for those people who need it. This session has been put on by FIDE, by the International Chess Federation, because Tornelo is the host platform for two major FIDE events over the next few months. The first one is the Olympiad for Players with a Disability, which is coming up starting next Friday or Saturday. And then a week later, the World Youth and Cadets Championships will be played using Tornelo as a platform. So with those two events coming up, we wanted to try and help players, organisers, captains, arbiters become a bit more familiar with this platform, because maybe some people haven't used it before. All right, so that's what we're up to today. We've given people, I think, a fair go at showing up a little bit late, so we're going to get things moving now. So here we go. So first question I often get asked is, why is it called Tornelo? All right, and Tornelo is a portmanteau, or it's a combination of two words together in one. So the first is tournament, and it's the torn from the tournament, and then ELO, which is the type of rating system. So when we first created Tornelo, the idea was that it was a platform for managing tournaments and ratings, and that's where we got the word Tornelo from. Fundamentally, Tornelo is a pairings program. So it's a pairings program for over-the-board or hybrid events, even though the pairings program itself was built as a 100% online, what we call a cloud application. It's entirely web-based. And so we built Tornelo between the years of 2008 to 2012 as a way of managing some of the events that we were running in our chess academy and schools coaching business in Australia. So we had something like 10,000 entries into 300 tournaments a year. And so when you're running, 2 or 3 tournaments a day at times, we needed a management system that would automate all of the processes of a chess tournament, from registrations, pairings, managing the event on the day, right through to producing ratings, emailing players, and having player profiles. So Tornelo was built to manage that entire process end to end. In March of 2020, of course, COVID swept the world, and has changed the way that we see lots of things. Of course, chess being one of those very important ones that have changed massively. So we saw that this in March it was going to be a significant change, and we started building in March an online game server, which would kind of click on automatically to the pairings program and allow people to run online tournaments as a scheduled arbiter-led event. And for us, there's a fundamental difference between a hands-off tournament where you can send some players to a platform, the tournament starts automatically at a certain time, all the games play, and then at the end it's over. And that's great in some circumstances. But what we wanted to try and do was to replicate as much as possible the over-the-board experience. So there's an arbiter involved, there's a visible authority figure, there are, there's kind of context around the event, the players get to see one another, the arbiters have got flexibility. And so with that, what we call a scheduled event, and the arbiter-led events, there was no option to do that on any other platform. So we built a platform, we've had lots of success. We've had more than 400 organisations registering and using Tornelo to run their online tournaments over the last few months, and hopefully, well, in Australia we're coming out of lockdown. I know Europe is going back into a lockdown over winter, but hopefully this COVID pandemic will pass in the very near future, and we can go back to over the board events. I think that when we do, what Tornelo is setting ourselves up for is the ability to run hybrid events. That is where there are some players playing face-to-face and some players playing online. And so you can look out for features which will give players the convenience of online, but still integrate with the over-the-board experience and games. So whether that's a hub-style tournament where you've got people in hubs all around the country or all around the world, or whether that's just a local club tournament, but two of your members are not feeling all that good today and want to stay home, or somebody's traveling for work, they can still sign in and take part in their regular club game from a distance. So Tornelo is kind of the online games aspect of it is new, but we have actually been managing tournaments since 2008, and there's been more than 12,000 events run on the platform. So it's a well-established space. There are three things that I'm going to talk about and show you. One is from a player's perspective, one is from the arbiter's perspective, and one is from the organizer's perspective. So we've got those kind of three views over Tornelo. And I guess if you're here in particular as a captain of a team of players from the World Youth and Cadets Championships, the players aspect of it is going to be the most important. We will send a copy of this session as a recording to everybody afterwards, and you can review that at your leisure, share it with your players, whatever the case may be, to actually make sure that people feel comfortable playing their games and can kind of focus on the games and not worry so much about the platform and learning the new way of doing things. So, okay, players, arbiters, and organisers. Let's dig into what it means to be a player and how that works on Tornelo. So, the best way. So, I'm going to just show you now a live, an event. Okay. So, if there are some people who've got some messages in the chat who don't hear me, I'm not going to be having the chat on most of the time. If you can send a message to our co-host, Eugenia Prokopova, and Jacques, she might be able to help you get through that and get audio on your side. I think everybody else is hearing me okay. So what we're going to do is dig into the platform. So here we have what we call staging version. So this is just a kind of a sample server, and we'll be able to see everything that the players would see if they were signing in. The best way that I can recommend for players, if you are going to be running some practice events yourselves or some events in the future, the best way for players to actually get involved in your events is to register themselves directly. At some point in time, if you're playing an online event, the player themselves will need to sign in. They will need an account on Tornelo in order to play their games. Now, it's completely free and it's easy to set that account up, but the best time to do that, I think, is during the registration process. Once they've registered themselves directly into the event, you know that the registration is correct, and you know that they've got the right account and that they can send, that they can log in and that they haven't used the wrong email address and all those sorts of things. In the World Youth and Cadets, that's a different registration process. The players have registered to the federations have registered with FIDE, and then FIDE has uploaded via an import process all of those names and email addresses onto Tornelo. Now, I'll show you how that happens later on. And when that happens, it does create all the accounts, it emails all the players, everything should be fine. The one risk in that process is that the person who knows the most information about what email address they're going to be using, that is the player themselves, they aren't the one who types that into Tornelo. So there's a couple of steps in the process, and it's easy for email addresses to get mixed up, to be typed incorrectly, or the player just to sign in on the day with their own private email address when they were registered with their parents' email address. All of that is solvable, and it's solvable instantly and very easily, so don't worry about it. But I'm just saying that if you were planning to run an event, try to get the players to register themselves. That would be the easiest. So let's go through that. This is the kind of the browsing events, both in progress, past events, and upcoming events, which players will see. We're going to select an event that we want to play in. We're going to play in the Skywalker Challenge, and we're going to go through the process that a player would go through themselves in order to join this event. So when they get to the event, players always see what we call a tournament lobby. Okay, so a tournament lobby is, it's kind of just like an over-the-board event. It's where you would hang out. It's where you would do all your registrations. It's where you wait for your games to be paired. It's not the playing room. It's your tournament lobby. So you can see at the top of the page here, there is this message bar, and this message bar always tells you like what is going on at the moment. So this notification bar, or this message bar at the top, is probably the only important area that players really need to look at if they're looking at anything at all. We've got a red icon here, and we've got a message saying that you're spectating the event. So that's fantastic. If you're a spectator, if you're a parent or a teacher or a friend, you can just watch the event. And this is, it's got to be a live event. You'll see all the games, you'll see all the results, you'll see everything completely live. If you want to be playing in the event or registering, we're going to click the sign in button, and it's going to ask you to put in your email address and password. Okay, so let's go and see if I can type. Sign in with an email address and password. Obviously, if you don't have an account, you can just click the create account button and go through the process of creating an account. All right, so we're now spectating the event, but we've got the option to enter the event. Okay, so we're signed into Tornelo, but we haven't actually entered yet. So let's click the enter now button. Any one email address could control multiple players. All right, so maybe you're a parent with 2 children. Okay, no problems. And you can also do it the other way around. You could have one player with multiple email addresses, because maybe you're a player and your mum sometimes registers you and your dad sometimes registers you, and sometimes you play using your own email address. So you would be able to have multiple email addresses on your one player account. So we're going to proceed through to the next step, which will be asking about the registration details, maybe asking about a team if it was a Teams event. Okay, let's put them both into Team England. And other information if it's required. Okay, the organisers have some control over that. Players will be asked for their contact details. Those contact details are for you as the tournament organiser, and then you summarise the information and submit your entry. So I think it's important that all the players do provide you with contact details, because you need to run the event. You need to keep in touch with your players, and after the event, you also want to build your database and add more players to your, to your list of, to your community. It's where there are people who are enjoying playing each other. Okay, we've registered 2 players, so this is asking me the question, who am I today? And you can obviously then choose the player that you're going to be playing at. So I'm Hermione for now, and here we are in the tournament lobby, now signed in. Okay, we've now got a different message at the top where it's asking us, are we ready? Okay, so at the start of every tournament, just like in an over-the-board tournament, the arbiters, the organisers need to know who's actually here. Like, it's one thing to register for a tournament, it's another thing to actually show up. Okay, and this is the first step that we're going to ask all of your players in the World Youth and Cadets Championships to do. They're going to need to sign in. They're going to go to the tournament lobby page for that World Youth event, for whichever age group they're participating in. And when they get to that tournament lobby, they need to click the box at the top to say that they are ready. Okay, so if you click that, you'll be signed in and you'll be ready to play the game. Okay, so when you've ticked the box, when you've said you're ready, what that does is that verifies to us as organisers that you have got the ability to sign in, and you've got permissions to actually do something on the site, so you can interact. You're set up correctly. If you see a different message at the top there, if you see that you're still spectating, you need to please get in touch with your federation captain and we'll get the captain to update your email address so that you're actually signing in with the same email address that you've provided us. So maybe it's been a typo, maybe it's just that the player wants to now sign in with their own private email address instead of their parents' email address that they were registered with. So that's fine. If you see a message other than that you're ready here and ready to play, please get in touch with the process, captains to federations to FIDE, and FIDE will update our the system. All right, and you will be able to play. Don't panic if it doesn't get done before the day of the event. You'll still be able to play. We have simple ways that we can get you through, but it would be strongly advised to get as many people as possible registered in advance. So you can see here it's ticked off, and then when we look down the page, we can see that Hermione's name has got a green check mark next to her name in the list of players. Okay, so arbiters get to see this, other players get to see it. You've got the green icon next to the person's name, which tells you that they're connected. So we've got a connection status and we're ready to play. Okay, so once players have done that, the next stage will be when the games actually start. So as the tournament arbiter, I get to start the tournament whenever I choose. I don't have to start at exactly 10:15 if that's the time that we scheduled the tournament to start. As the arbiter, I've got complete control over when things happen. So I can wait for more players to come. I can remove players from the tournament. So Ron Weasley hasn't checked in yet, so maybe I'm going to remove him if he's not here. No problems. I can do whatever I need to. All right, when I'm ready, I'm going to start the pairings for the next round. So when I start the pairings, you'll see that the message on the screen changes for Hermione. So I do the pairings, get a little bit of a sound, and now we can see that she's got a game, White against Luke. Cool. So this is what your players will see when they come to play their first games. As soon as they see that message, they can click the box, play now, the button. When they click play now, that's going to open up a game for them, and that's going to allow them to play their game. All right, yes, the first question everybody always asks, can I change the colors? Yes, you can. All right, so players can go to their account settings. In their account settings, they can change the color of their chessboard, whatever color they'd like it to be. And then when they go back to their game, whoops, I've just gone back. So when they go back to their game, they will have now a different color chessboard. So yes, it's possible to do that. Players cannot start their games until their opponent's connected. So you can see a green connection icon here and a red disconnected icon here. So when both players are connected, then you can start your game. All right, so let's just connect Luke to his game. And as soon as they're both connected, then we've got the green icons. The player will be able to start playing the game. And these games work the same way that any online platform game might work. You click on the piece and you can drag it, or you can click on the piece and click on the square you're moving it to. Right click will cancel a move. The one thing to be aware of on Tornelo is that because we're trying to replicate over the board chess as much as possible, there is no pre-move allowed. Okay, there are no pre-moves allowed. You must wait for your opponent to complete their move before making your move. Okay, so the game continues as you would expect a game to continue in any platform. There are a couple of slight differences. So obviously you can make a move, offer a draw, confirm that we want to offer a draw. You can see on the score sheet here it's marked off as a draw offer. The opponent doesn't have to accept. Obviously, they just make a move to discard the draw offer. If there are any problems during the course of a game, this is a key difference between our platform and some others. If there are some problems, the player can click the Call Arbiter button. When they click that button, the game will be paused, and they can send a message in the chat to the arbiter. Okay, so the arbiter will join their game, start sending some messages. So we can say here, he didn't take my draw offer. Okay, so you can send messages back and forth with the arbiter until the problem is resolved. Sorry. Okay, so the arbiter has the ability to then control the game somehow. So maybe it's an inappropriate claim or an inappropriate call. So I'm going to penalize this player 2 minutes. So I just remove 2 minutes from Hermione's clock here as an inappropriate claim. So we'll be using the standard FIDE rules. If a player abuses the system and pauses the clock and calls the arbiter for no reason, then the arbiters have the ability to warn players or apply penalties as the case may be, as per normal FIDE rules. Okay, once the arbiter has concluded the arbiter call, they'll resume the game and the players may then continue playing their games. In the World Youth Championships, this may not be a possibility, but in the Olympiad for players with a disability, where players have got maybe a higher possibility of making a mouse slip or a move that they did not intend to make, there is an undo button, and you can send a request to your opponent requesting that a take back is provided. The opponent can accept that take back, and if they do, the move is taken back. Okay, you can see, and now the player can make any move that they want. Okay, so that is a possibility. Of course, the opponent does not need to, accept the take back, and you can just continue playing the game, and then that will ignore the request for a take back. Everything else is as normal. When the game finishes, the game is over. Players return back to the tournament lobby, and in the tournament lobby, you can see all of the results are automatically updated. The tournament lobby is, it's also what spectators see. So if you've got parents or friends who want to watch the games, they'll be able to go to the tournament lobby and see live results coming in. There's also these watch buttons next to each game. So players or spectators also, again, can also click on those and watch any other live game in progress. You can see connection status there so that we can actually see the games in progress. A view button means that the game is over and you're seeing then a completed game as opposed to a live game. Okay, so there's a difference between the two. So the player will hang out in the lobby, watching games, waiting for the next round to start, just like they would in an over-the-board tournament. As the results come in, you'll see those results being updated, and the arbiter's got control over whatever they need to do, updating or changing results. When the games are over, then the pairings will be done for the next round. Okay, so when the pairings are done for the next round, they'll see a new message here. If you've been given a bye for some reason, then there'll be a different message. You've got a bye. If you've been withdrawn from the tournament, you will see a different message. It'll show that you've been withdrawn from the tournament. Okay, so you've been withdrawn, you won't be paired, and you can rejoin the tournament. You can see Hermione's name is crossed out. She can rejoin the tournament if she wants to. So you've got always this message bar at the top telling you what's going on in the tournament. Okay. When you see a game, you start the game and off you go. So over time, we hope that players will be playing in more than just a single event. One of the things that's important to us in Tornelo is this concept of fair play, and there are a number of aspects that all feed together to create an environment where people are actually interested in playing fairly together. The first of those is that all players should always be using their real names. Okay, so it is important if you're creating tournaments for yourself that the policy in Tornelo is that players should use their full names, their real names. So not their first name and the initial of their surname, not their not a fake name or a username or a handle. It should be the players' real names. This is representative of who they are in the real world. There are lots of privacy controls over tournaments, and I can show you some of those later on. There are privacy controls for players and for tournaments themselves. So if players do have a privacy concern, that can be addressed in a different way than just putting in a fake name. All right, so the first thing that's really important for building trust in this online environment is to use real names and to have real genuine identities. The second thing is the arbiters are around. We're present, we're visible, and all the players should be able to communicate with those arbiters easily. Now they can communicate in the games with the call arbiter button, but also in most tournaments there will also be a Zoom meeting and the Zoom meeting will connect the players and the arbiters together. And it's an opportunity for the arbiters to communicate directly via voice or video or text chat with the players. Okay, so in all the tournaments, at the top of the tournament lobby page, there will be a button, join the video conference. Players can just click that and they can join the Zoom meeting. We are trying to make in Tornelo just a single page application. So it just try and simplify the process for players and for organizers. Like, you've got one link, that's one web page. All the players can come here, they can register for the tournament. If they want to play in the tournament, they come here, they play in the tournament. If they want to join the Zoom meeting, they come to this page, they join the Zoom meeting. If they want to see the results afterwards, they go to this page, they see the results. Everything is always in the same page. It's easy and simple. You don't have to give players 5 different URLs. Here, sign up on this page, check the results on this page, play your games on this page, join the video conference here. It's just all in one place. So that Zoom room is going to be really important. All players in the World Youth and Cadets Championships are 100% required to be on the Zoom meeting and have their cameras on. Part of the reason that the cameras are on is, again, to build this environment of trust where the players get to see each other, they get to know each other, they get to see that they are generally aware and ready to do things. Distractions. Yeah, the Zoom room button there for players. Okay, I'm now going to show you. Sorry, there was the one more thing was repeat interaction. So we've got players using real names. We've got player interactions with other players via the Zoom room so that they can build some empathy. We've got the arbiter present, and that visible authority figure goes towards the environment of fair play. And then the final thing is we want organisers and arbiters to be building communities of players who have repeat interactions with one another. That is, where they're playing against each other on more than one occasion. Right, because that again builds relationships and that helps with fair play. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is show you. Let's go to a page for some players that have played multiple events. And if you've got players who play multiple events over time, then on Tornelo you will end up with a player profile. Okay, and so here we've got a player who's got a profile that goes all the way back to 2011. So over the course of 9 years, there's been hundreds of events that this player has played in, and you can see that they build a bit of, some basic statistics, some information about who they've represented over time in tournaments, and their tournament history. We can link players up with their FIDE ID so that you've got a linkage to the FIDE profile. And of course, now this is just a history of every tournament that this person has played in over that period of time. Okay, all of those are obviously, can dig in deeper, so we can go in and check out specific events. So let's jump in and see that event, and the player will then see, all of the results of the tournament. So this is kind of, different divisions. So we've got under 10s, over 10s, different age groups, divisions, all of the players in their player list. This shows you a cross table, so you can hover over any result and you can see who the person played against, black or white. So that's kind of your cross table view. This is your round by round pairing view, and you can obviously dig in if you needed to and actually see the games themselves. All right, so round by round pairings and then standings at the end, where players finished in the tournament. So this overview is available for all historical tournaments. Players will also have the ability to download, or spectators, download PGN. So you can download a PGN file from the tournament. Tournament arbiters and organisers get a little bit more information. So I'm signed in here as an arbiter. So I've got a few extra buttons across the top that will give me some more reports about this tournament. So I can do firstly a financial report. This event was an entry fee tournament, so the players paid $20 to play in this tournament. And the registration process on Tornelo, you can just add a Stripe account and money goes into your bank account. It's just seamless. So all of these players registered and paid their entry fees. If for some reason somebody didn't pay an entry fee, let's just delete this invoice and show you, then you'll just straight away be able to see, okay, everybody played in the tournament, this one isn't green, there's a problem with it. You can just simply create the invoice, click the email button, email it to the player. So here you go, we've now got a red icon that shows that he owes money. Every time that this player signs into the tournament, to the Tornelo website, it will remind them. If you send them an email to pay the invoice, then they can just, again, one click, put in their credit card details, and the invoice has been paid. I'm just going to set this to a free entry so that this player doesn't really get those emails and reminders to pay something that's not due. So you've got a financial report which will kind of reconcile all of the payments that you've received in the tournament. You've got a download TRF button. So a TRF is the tournament results format that FIDE uses for ratings purposes. So you can download that and then import into a different pairings program if there are. I know that there are some specific pairing ratings results formats that federations need, and most of them are created from one or other pairings program, external pairings program. All of those pairings programs will deal with TRF format, because TRF is the FIDE ratings format. So you can download that and import/export results from tournaments. You've also got an export entries button, which will export all of the players' names, their contact details, their email addresses, their phone numbers, all of that information, so that you can add those to your database. You can build your database of players who are playing in your organization and create a broader community of repeat interactions. So you've got a few additional buttons there that we can look at as an organizer. So yeah, you've got cross table ranking, standings, pairings, games, PGN files, TRF files, everything that you need. What I'm going to do is now go in again, kind of as the arbiter. This is a finished tournament. We'll go into the behind the scenes view of the tournament we were looking at just before, the Skywalker Challenge that we had some players participating in. So this is the behind the scenes view. This is what the arbiters get to see in that tournament. So we can see our round by round pairings. Okay. If we wanted to change some pairings, so we want to give Hermione a bye, we can just remove the player from the other side, and Hermione's got a bye. If we wanted to be unpaired, we can just make her unpaired. If we want to add people back to our pairings, you can say, oh, actually, we want Darth to be playing against Hermione, and you can just add players. So it's really easy to modify and edit pairings and get things set up however you want them to be. Each round itself has got different statuses. So if you wanted to have a results published but not playable, this is what the players would see then. It says the pairings are ready, starting soon. You can see the pairings. It's like they've been pinned up on the wall, but they're not allowed actually to start the clocks yet. So you can come in and see, oh, cool, I'm playing against Darth. I better prepare for the two-handed lightsaber attack or whatever it is that they're going to be using. You can prepare for your opponent. Or that could be something that you set up a week in advance if it's a club tournament. People have got time to prepare their games before they actually go in and play. So here we have all of the ability to control the pairings and edit the pairings and start your games. Enter results if you need to enter results as well. Go back, even change results if you need to change results. Okay, so arbiters have got full control over the whole tournament. There are a number of tournament settings that we can play with. So I'll just jump in onto the tournament settings and go through some of those with you. And you would normally, the arbiter or the organizer would create these when the tournament's first set up. So basic information, name of the event, the organization that owns it, and the time zones, the fact that we are playing games online. This is what I talked about before, a privacy feature. So privacy feature this is over the tournament, so not the individual players, but over the tournament. So FIDE events obviously will be public events. They are open to the general public, but for some organizers, they might want a community level tournament where Google can't find that event online. Okay, so in order to find a community event, you have to be signed into Tornelo. You have to be part of the community. You can't just be a random stranger on Google finding it. Or you can go extreme and you can actually have a private tournament, and a fully private tournament is not visible by anybody without the direct link. So it's a completely secret tournament. We saw before the link to a Zoom meeting. So this is where you put the link to the Zoom meeting. We've got some advanced features which we can talk about another time about putting multiple Zoom meetings and directing people to specific areas. These are some of the game rules that the arbiters get to set. So, standard chess, take me chess, you can put in a FEN position. So you could do 960 or or thematic tournaments, or start from an end game or a middle game position. You've got clock times, time plus increment. And then we've got some settings on the clock rules. So can players start before their opponents are here? Will the clocks pause when the arbiter's called? Can players cancel or make requests for takebacks or cancel the arbiter calls? So arbiters have got full control over all of the settings. By default, we use FIDE laws of repetitions and sort of automatic draws. So draws are allowed after move 1 by default, but you might be running a sort of a high stakes Sophia style event where you don't want players to offer draws within the first 50 moves. And so you can just say, okay, draws aren't able to be offered for the first 10, 20, 30, 50 moves, whatever you want. The FIDE official laws of chess are that players can claim a repetition after 3 moves, but the repetition isn't declared until it's been a 5 times repetition. So what you'll find is that the default settings would have a 5-time repetition and a 75 move draw, but the arbiters have got the ability to change that. In the World Youth Championships and the Cadets, it will be a 3-fold repetition and a 50 move draw that will be automatically declared by the platform, and the same thing with insufficient mating material. We've got division settings, so you can have different divisions with different rounds, and then the ability to obviously accept entries and payments. You just type that in, you connect your Stripe account, and it's all set up, ready to collect registrations and payments directly on the site. The actual event itself, you've got three different pairings engines, so you can run a round robin tournament, a Swiss tournament with JavaFo. JavaFo is the pairings engine that is used in Swiss Manager, it's used in Vega, and I think one other FIDE approved pairings program. I think FIDE actually kind of not only endorsed, but kind of created. This was the very first engine. So all other engines are checked against JavaFo for validity. So if you're using JavaFo in a tournament on Tornelo, you should find that the pairings are exactly the same as pairings that you would do in Swiss Manager or Vega. Okay, because you're using the same pairings engine, it feeds the information in, you'll get the same exact results out at the end, assuming you feed in the same information. If for some reason you are not comfortable, for whatever reason, using pairings internally, there is the option to import and export. So Tornelo has got import-export features. So the first one is an import CSV. So we can click import CSV. And you can import a list of players. Importing players here. So by selecting a CSV file, it will say, okay, we're going to import this player, this email address, FIDE ID, anything that we need to import. It will automatically create accounts for players, email players to invite them, all those sorts of things if you're importing entries. So we'll import Ron back into the tournament, and you can now see he is here, back on the list of players for the tournament. Okay, so you can import CSV and get things done on an import. I will just delete the first round as well, and we'll show you how to import a PGN file. So if you want to do the pairings externally, do the pairings in a different pairings engine, export the PGN file of that round. So that would usually have a bunch of blank tournament headers. So your PGN file would look something like this. So players' names and an unfinished game. So this is just a set of PGN headers with round number, board number. We will import that into the tournament. So import PGN, choose the file, import, and then that will create the pairings for the first round. Okay, so we'll go back into the pairings program, and here you go. We've imported these pairings. All right, so you can have results in a different system and import them just as easily as what we've seen just there. Okay, so that's kind of the arbiter's view. I'll take 5 minutes to show you an organization view, and the organization is the kind of the owner of the tournament. So I'm going to go into the live system for this and show you some of the organizations that we have and how that works. If I could spell. All right, so this is a list of organizations that are verified on Tornelo. So a verified organization means that you are now public. You can share your tournaments with the public as well, so that maybe you get some new entries and new people coming into your tournament, they can find you. A verification process is simple. It's just a 5-minute conversation on a Zoom call with me, just to verify that you're not a kid who's trolling the system and creating inappropriately named events. All right. So yeah, please, if you want to create an organization and verify it, you can use the platform for a number of for anything you like. Just let me know. So here we have a number of different organizations. So for example, the European Chess Union, and organizations will then have a bit of brand presence. So I think it's what we're trying to do is we're trying to partner with organizations. We are just a platform. We should be kind of silent and quiet in the background, and the organization itself should be the one that gets the credit and the glory and the branding. All right, so it's not a platform tournament. It's a European Chess Union tournament. It's a FIDE tournament. It's a your organization tournament. So you've got logos, you've got contact details, you've got descriptions, phone numbers, emails, so that the players who are coming to the site can find you and can contact you and can see all of your upcoming events, and they could use this as their kind of homepage that they would bounce back to on a regular basis to see all of the new events that you're creating. Okay, so we've got a FIDE page as well, which is the same thing. We highly recommend that if you are planning to play in any of the FIDE events coming up soon, or if you're, anybody in the world, doesn't have to be if you're playing in a FIDE event, but particularly if you are planning to play an event on Tornelo, that you do take part in a practice event. Because these FIDE events are coming up shortly, we've got organised a daily event, a practice event every single day in the month of November, right up until the World Youth starts. Those events are free to play in. They're self-registration. You come to the FIDE page, you select the event you want to play in. They're in all different time zones around the world, so you can go to the homepage and actually see a simple calendar of events. And you can see, they're set up in all different time zones: New York, Chennai, Europe, California, Dubai, whatever you want. And it shows you, the time zones. Obviously, anybody can play in any event, so you can play in any event if it suits your time zone. It can be for any players in your federation. Invite friends, invite beginners, invite coaches, invite anybody who wants to play to get familiar with the platform and how it works. Just doing it once just kind of verifies the fact that you can play games, where the buttons are, how to call an arbiter, where the play now button is. And then when you're playing in your first real tournament, you can kind of focus more on the chess and thinking about your moves and not worrying so much about like, where was that button to call the arbiter? I need to try and find it. So highly recommend joining one of those FIDE practice events anytime over the next month. If you need to create your own organization, feel free to do so. You'll do that by just clicking run an event. When you click run an event, you'll get a page that looks like this. Make sure you update your logo and your colors, because we want things to look nice. We want people to actually have a bit of brand presence. So you've got your colors and your logos and your other details. So it looks much nicer when you've got all of that. People feel like you're a kind of a good-looking organization. They're going to be more likely to want to take part in your events. So organizers, please create an account if you need to be verified to access the additional features that are usable by verification. So that we can trust so that you can trust a verified organization, and then verified organizations can add additional organizers to their, or administrators to their organization, which means that you can now have multiple people all creating events for this organization, and any registration fees go into the same bank account. So it's a way of delegating responsibility to organizers, or even then you can go into an individual event and you can delegate responsibility for an individual event to a particular arbiter. Okay, so you can then have different arbiters who are actually listed on a particular event, and they only have access to that event, and then administrators have access, obviously, to the whole organization. So that's how all of that works. All right, let's just close these ones down again and just go back to just a very quick conversation about fair play on Tornelo. We've talked a bit about the environment of fair play, and so that is people using real names, having repeat interactions with one another, being able to see each other on Zoom so that it can build some empathy with video, having that authority figure, that arbiter available. All of those things go towards making an environment which is conducive to fair play. In addition to having a positive environment so that it's actually helping people to choose to do the right thing, we also want to have some supervision over the players, right? An environment only isn't enough. You can't just have a positive environment in your community and expect that no crime is ever going to take place. But if you put some supervision in, you put a neighborhood watch or a police force or something like that, then of course, then the crime rates will decline even further. So supervision in online tournaments will vary event to event. Obviously, the FIDE World Youth Championships is a very high-level event, so we'll have quite stringent supervision requirements. So those are to have your camera switched on at all times and make sure that your face and playing area are visible on that camera. And secondly, to make sure that you've got your screen shared so that we can see what's going on your computer. All right, these verification processes are there to support the players. All right, we're not suspicious of anybody, we're not accusing anybody. What we're doing is we want to support players. So when a player has an extremely good result in a tournament, we as arbiters and organisers can support them and say to the community at large and to the other players in the event, we supervise these players. We could see what they were doing. We can see 100% for sure that they were playing fairly. They didn't have any assistance. They didn't have any other people in their room with them. They didn't have any electronic devices. We could see what was going on, and we know that they were doing the right thing. So we really want to be able to get on the side of the players and support those players in I guess the demonstration that they are doing the right thing and playing fairly. The final step in the process after supervision is verification, and obviously after a game or after an event, Tornelo will produce a report for organisers and arbiters. That report for the organisers and arbiters will look something like this. This is a fair play report, and we can see in this report there are a number of players at the top that have been removed from the event. They've been anonymised. And then, there's other players who were playing fairly. It's quite easy to see when players are doing the wrong thing. We've got some statistical analysis which correlates the moves that the players are making with the moves that an engine would make, and we end up with this sort of report. So the information from Tornelo gets given to the arbiters and the organisers, and the arbiters and organisers are the ones that make the decision. Tornelo will not jump in and ban a player. It's not our responsibility to ban the players. It's not our place to do that. The organizer knows the player best, and the organizer will always make the best decision, or the arbiter will make the best decision, right? Because they know the players. We just give you the information that you need in order to make those decisions, right? Because there's just too many examples of players being, banned with no due process, no conversation, and just banning players for fair play violations doesn't help to solve the problem in the long run. All right, the way that you solve this problem is through education, and conversations with players who are doing the wrong thing, and building a community of players that trust one another and that do the right thing. And that's what we have on Tornelo is a community, and we have lots of small communities, but like in this World Youth Championships, lots of communities from around the world are getting together, and we want to make sure that people are trusting one another. We were the platform that hosted the European Youth Championships in September. In that event, there were 750 players who played, and 100% fair play. 750 juniors, all playing online, all of them did the right thing because the environment was there. They know one another, they see one another, and it's not anonymous. I think that's a big part of it. But there was also supervision, and of course, at the end of each game, at the end of each round, at the end of each day, and at the end of the event, there was a verification process we went through as well. So we're working on some visualizations of that verification. We don't have this yet, but this sort of visualization shows you a little bit about what you might end up seeing. Like, why are there some dots all the way out here, you know, ahead of Capablanca and Kasparov and pretty close to Stockfish, when other players of the same rating level, you know, kind of green and yellow, should be all down this end of the page. So there are some ways that we can help to visualize some of that for people. All right, that's it from me for now. Thank you very much for listening in. Hopefully there's some useful information for you. We're going to throw the floor open to questions. Georgina might have got some questions, or if there are any specific informations that you need or would like to hear. Now is a great time to ask. We're happy to do that. If you need further assistance from what you've seen today, there is, as an arbiter, there's a community forum, so you can join the arbiter forum on Tornelo if you're planning to run a tournament, be an organizer and arbiter. There's a help center, which we can provide access to help centers. And you can see that, or you can even set up a meeting one-on-one with me as well. So feel free to to connect in one of those ways if you need to. All right, I'll share all those links with you in the email afterwards. All right, let's answer some of these questions. So Terence has asked, can you give a 0.5 point or 0 point buys? Yes, absolutely you can. I'll just open up the tournament and show you exactly how to do that. But it's very simple. Anything that you can do in a regular pairings program, you can do in Tornelo as well. Okay, so here we go into the pairings program. We go, oh, we want to give a player a buy. There is a buy with 1 point. We want to give a 0.5 point buy. We just make that a draw. And now that's giving the player a 0.5 point buy. And you can have your default settings as well as to how the buys work. But you might have multiple players, all with 0.5 point buys. Okay, so here we go. We've got 0.5 point buys for all of these players in the tournament. So yep, absolutely fine. You can give buys, 0.5 point buys, whatever you'd like to do there. Okay, how does the check mark work? Is it going to stay there or disappear? And what's the difference from the connection icon? Okay, great question. So let's go and share the tournament lobby and explain what these are. So the in a tournament lobby, the connection status, or if you're actually in a specific game, there's a connection status that tells you green is connected in the tournament lobby, yellow is inactive in the tournament lobby. So for example, we've got Hermione, she was active, she was moved away from the window, was watching YouTube videos or whatever, and went yellow, and then when we reactivate that, this will show up green in a second. So you've got connection status. You've also got a timestamp which tells you when they were active. Okay, the check marks. Let me just okay. So there you go. Hermione's gone green. The check marks for players. We're just waiting for this round, so let's change the first round so Hermione can put a check mark in there. The check marks is what we call, here we go, like an attendance, or attendance is probably a good word. So this tells you that you are here, ready to play the game. It's only at the start of the tournament. Okay, so what the arbiters will see is when they go here, they've got all these check marks. So you can see these are the people that are here, and then they'll be able to start the tournament, do whatever they want to do with the players who aren't marked as present. Okay, pair the round up for round number 1. And then if they go back here, they'll see also check marks, but these check marks here are attendance now for round 2. All right, so if you wanted to just pair only 2 players for round 2, this would be check marks for round 2. We can pair round 2, and it will only pair those 2 players. Okay, because we've got an attendance round by round as well. Okay, so you've got round by round attendance, the check marks, and the players can control that as well. They've got this, this list of rounds, and they can, choose to have a buy in a particular round, so they can skip certain rounds, and then the arbiter can decide, what do you do with those buys? Do you give them 0.5 point or 1 point? Okay, so that's fine. John, good question. Okay, what happens if you close a browser in the middle of a game? Okay, so if you're connected to the game, the connection status is green. If you disconnect from the game or close the browser, your connection status just drops out, and you have got the ability to rejoin the game. Let's go back to, so you disconnected, your laptop shuts down or runs out of batteries. Oh, sorry, this is just got to put a password in for this one. And you can rejoin the game in time. Yeah, okay, great. I've got to log back in again. You'll be back in the game. Just put an @ symbol in there. Okay, and Hermione's now back into her game and playing again. So if this game was halfway through, you can reconnect and rejoin your game. As long as there's time on your clock, then that's fine. You can reconnect. If you've run out of time, you've lost the game. So players are always responsible for their own internet connections. Different organisers will do different things. Obviously, the organiser can see in the pairings program all of the players, who's connected and who's not. So you can see these connection icons. So you can do that. As an arbiter, you get the overview. So maybe the arbiter wants to go and solve some problems, or if they get contacted by a player who's got a specific problem, the arbiter can go into a game and pause a game if they need to. So the clock can be started, you can pause a game, you can adjust clocks. The arbiters have got the ability to do all these sorts of things, even declare the game a draw if they need to. So the arbiters get to do that, but at the end of the day, players are responsible for their own connections. Obviously disconnection is just a part of online chess, but if you disconnect, if your laptop shuts down or whatever happens, you do have, whatever time's on your clock to reconnect. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions about the tournament platform, about how things work, about what you get to do or see as an arbiter, as an organizer, or as a player? Cool. Well, it seems costs. Okay, Elton's asked, what are the costs involved in Tornelo? So Tornelo is completely free at the moment. You can use Tornelo for any events that you like, any number of players, online events, everything that you like to do. The only time that Tornelo charges you a fee is a transaction fee when you collect a registration into the tournament. So if you're running a tournament with an entry fee and you are collecting registration fees, Tornelo will charge less than 3% of that entry fee. So it's a few cents on each entry fee as a transaction fee for managing and processing those payments directly into your bank account. So feel free to use it for any and all events. If you're running free events, then go ahead and run your events for free. But if you're running a paid event, collect the registration fees. It is so much easier than managing multiple systems. All right, can an arbiter pause the clocks if someone has an area power cut? Obviously, that's pretty important if you're in in areas where there are power failures. So we had an example of that in the European Youth Championships. The European Youth Championships, the round was just about to start, and one country just had a power outage. I can't remember, was it Belarus or it was one of the Eastern European countries, just complete blackout. The organisers in that country contacted the chief arbiters and said, look, we've just had a blackout in the whole city. None of our players can play. What can you do? And so as organisers and arbiters, your role is to make the tournament experience the best possible experience for everyone involved. All right. So you could say, well, no, the rules are the rules. If you're disconnected, you forfeit the game, and that would be what happens in any other platform. The players would just lose. On Tornelo, you've got the option. So the arbiters can go into the games, they can pause the clocks, they can communicate with the other players by sending a message and say, look, sorry, we're going to wait 10 minutes. And so that's what we did. We waited 10 minutes, the power came back on, and all of those players got back into their games and were able to play their games. So that was an example of a fantastic result that players could get involved and still play despite the power failures. All right, questions about can the arbiter change the names or ELO of the players? Yes, let's go into a name. So you can go to a player card and you can change it to any name that you like. All right, so you can, the pairings program is your pairings program. So you can make any name, you can make any rating. So we've got an estimated rating or a real rating, official rating. So you can make any name or any rating, and it will, let's just reload the page to sort that according to rating. You've got them sorted in that order. So you've got full control of everything. Obviously, the name should always be the player's real name, and we're connecting as much as possible to players' FIDE IDs. You don't have to use exactly the same name. I know sometimes on the FIDE list, it's a little annoying. You've got middle names or names spelled wrong or backwards or something like that. So you can use any name and you can connect any name to that FIDE ID. Yeah, you've kind of got control over everything. I would say, Tornelo is a platform for real names, real profiles. Eventually, early next year, we're going to be adding a feature where the organizers can just kind of select just a checkbox. So instead of having a rating in here, there'll just be a box that you can select and say, use FIDE ratings, use USCF ratings, use Tornelo ratings, use, we're going to connect all the ratings from all the different systems into Tornelo, and you'll just be able to click use the rating from that player. If we've got API connections to like the English Chess Federation or the FIDE list or something like that, you then will be able to change the ratings in the event, but obviously not on the player's profile. So the player profile would have, just instead of a single, so this is on, we don't have this player profile. It's not live. So yeah, you can change names and ratings. You can also import the CSV multiple times. So if you wanted to update Ron's details, you would just change the CSV, import the CSV, and it just updates all the players in your tournament. So you can manage that if you need to. Once an organizer has scheduled an event, how do the players join it? Okay, good question. So in your, let's just show you some real events. I don't know, picking a random organization here. It's London Chess League. So when a player comes to their page, they've got a dashboard. They can see all the organizations that they've kind of taken part in before. So, this is my son's profile. So he plays at the Melbourne Chess Club. He plays at his school. He played in a Young Sparks thing. He plays in this organization in New Zealand. This is an Australian one. This is an Indian one. So he plays in a number of different organizations. All of those organizations will have a list of events in progress and upcoming events. You click on the upcoming events, and then there's just an enter now button. And so all of, every event that you create as an organizer, you either share the link directly to the event and people can register. You share the link to your organization page and they can see your calendar of events. Whatever suits you, you can put it up on, put a button on your website to say, hey, come and play in this event. The players come to the page, they click enter now, they pay their registration fee. You come back the day of the event and click start now. It's easy as that. So yeah, that's how the registrations work. It's all automatic. Okay, do we have a way to email all the participants for an event or past participants? Very good. So the system will have some automatic generated emails as reminders to say, don't forget you're playing in this event coming up. But we don't have a custom email communication system yet. So if you want to do a custom email and give them some specific information or talk to players, then you would need to click the button Export Entries. When you export the entries, that gives you all of the players' name, email address, phone number, what division they were playing in, all of the information. So you can export that and you've got all those email addresses. So it's then a 2-click process. So for example, for the World Youth Championships, we're emailing people all the time, but entries are being updated all the time. So I'll click Export Entries, I'll get the Excel sheet, I'll copy all the email addresses into an email and email everybody in one go. We've got some kind of cool features. If you've got a tournament with the same name, like running like every week, that's what we call a series. And you've got this series. So like we've been running this tournament Chess at 4 p.m. for, it's like an everyday tournament. And we've now got a button which is Export Entries for the whole series. So if you've run like a monthly tournament or a weekly tournament or whatever it might be, you might want to you might want to then email everybody who's ever played in one of your chess at 4 p.m. tournaments. And so you've got that export entries button, and you can then just communicate directly with everybody. For tournaments with entry fees, can you have multiple rates? Yes, you can set any amounts that you like. So you can have different entry fees. You can have a free entry fee for grandmasters. You can have a early bird entry fee. You can have a junior entry fee. The players select those entry fees themselves, but then you can obviously, if somebody chooses the wrong entry fee or tries to scam the system by saying that they're a grandmaster and not paying an entry fee, you just change the invoice and send them the new invoice. So yeah, you've got control over all of that. If you cancel an event, so all of the entries go through your Stripe account. We don't have a feature to automatically refund everybody at the moment. So if you were canceling an event, you would need to go into your Stripe account and you would need to process refunds for people one by one. When you process the refunds, there are no fees from Tornelo, but there may still be your bank transaction fee. Stripe might still charge you a fee depending on your account setup. So I can't comment on that, but yeah, certainly Tornelo doesn't charge you a fee for a cancelled one unless we get charged a fee. You can limit entries to a certain number of players. So you can say, okay, we're only going to take 150 players. You can't exclude a specific person at the moment from entering an event. If you wanted to limit the entries to particular users, the way that I would do that is to create a private tournament. So it's not public, people can't search around and find it. And then you just email those particular people the link. And the link will be, it'll be a secret link. It's like a private YouTube video. Nobody can find it unless they've been given a link. So you can manage it like security by obscurity, as they say. But of course, it's still possible for people to share that link or that password with anybody else. So it's very easy, obviously, though. Once you've got your event up and running, you can easily remove players from your tournament. So if you see somebody here that's not meant to be there, you just click their name and click remove, and they're gone. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward to do that. But yeah, good questions around limiting entries. Be aware, Tornelo, we've been around as an event management platform for some time, but it's only been 6 months that we've been running these online events and online tournaments. So we are still developing very rapidly. So we're releasing new features every single week. A week ago, there was no ability to undo a move. 2 weeks ago, there was no ability to change the color of your chessboard. 3 months ago, you couldn't even offer a draw on Tornelo. It was just literally a game of chess and you could just play the game. There was not even an offer draw button. So we're progressing very, very rapidly. We are making releases every week with new features. So you will see new features coming in all the time. I strongly encourage and implore arbiters and organizers and people around the world to please share your ideas, your feature requests, your suggestions. Our customer is the organizer, is the arbiter. We want to listen to what you need to make an easier event for you to run and a better event experience for your players. At the end of the day, if you can run better chess tournaments, if you can have more players playing, if those players can play more tournaments, if those players are happier to pay higher entry fees, the whole chess community benefits from that. And we really see ourselves as partners with organizers and arbiters, helping you to run a better event. This is not our platform. We're not the star of the show. You as the organizer, you as the arbiter is the star of the show. The more success you've got, the more success we've got at the end of the day, because we get a fee when somebody registers for a tournament. Okay, so yeah, what's the list of upcoming features, or what are the requests for new features? The best place to go is the blog. So if you go to the website, you will see we've got a blog. We update that every kind of whenever's needed. Certainly we do release notes. So whenever we make a release, we've got our release notes here, and you can view those release notes. And when we're talking in the release notes, we always at the bottom of the release notes talk about what we're working on next. Okay, so this is what we're working on. So we will give you kind of as much information about the product roadmap as we can, so that you can get excited about what's coming soon, even if you can't. The button's not there yet, but it's coming soon. So we'd love to help you out with that. So yeah, feel free to get in touch. Like I said, there is a WhatsApp group for Arbiters and Organisers, and you can that's a community group. Requesting features, probably just the easiest is an email to me, where you say, hey, this is what we want to see. So emails or there's a help box down the bottom here. You can send messages through there as well on the website. So we'd love to see what's happening. Okay, Terence has asked, what is the organizer fee? There is no organizer fee, Terence. It's just free to use. We only charge a fee when you use tournament registration process. So when you run a tournament and collect an entry fee, we get a 3% or less than 3% of that fee. Okay, if you're running a free tournament, if you're setting up an organization, we're just there to support you and get it done there. Carlos has asked about FIDE ratings. So at the moment, no online tournaments are eligible for FIDE ratings. So FIDE ratings are on hold. We're on a bit of a hiatus for a while with FIDE ratings, and FIDE will make some decisions in due course about how they deal with rating their tournaments. But at the moment, no online events are eligible for FIDE ratings. So the tournaments that you're running on Tornelo, there'll be a Tornelo rating. You can submit them for local ratings if you've got a local rating system that allows you to submit for ratings. But ultimately, it'll be up to the rating systems owners to decide all of those. I will give you a heads up. We're going to be running a chess festival in the end of the year, December 28th to January the 3rd, after Christmas, over New Year's. We'd love to get more people involved in that festival. There'll be an opportunity for both organisers to run satellite events as part of that festival and take part in the festival. And there'll also be a number of events for players. We don't have the schedule yet, but we should have the schedule starting to be released early next week. So keep in mind, if you would like to support Tornelo and support us to be able to build the features that you're looking for, please encourage your community members to join in and take part in that chess festival. That chess festival in December, January, over that New Year's week is our version of a Kickstarter campaign. So we're out there. We are going to be charging a fee, an entry fee for those events, because we need obviously some funds being raised in order to pay for the development of the features that you as organisers and arbiters and that players want to see. So support us in that Kickstarter campaign. We are, or the equivalent. We're working towards that in the next week or so. That'll be more information about exactly what's happening there. I think we've kind of run out of questions. We've done really well. We've had a half an hour of questions, so it's great to see people engaged. As I said before, if there are further questions, you can reach out. I'll be sharing a copy of this video as a recording for players and for organisers and arbiters afterwards. Feel free to share that widely. That'll be on YouTube, and you can organise to share that around. And then we'll send you an email with a link to that and some links for how you can get further help if you need further assistance. I'm available as well for a half-hour one-on-one chat if there are some specific questions that you'd like to dig into a little bit deeper and see how you'd like to be able to use the platform. So thank you very much, everybody, for your engagement and participation this afternoon. Good luck with all of your tournaments. I hope you run really engaging events. I hope all your players play fairly. and I look forward to seeing you sometime online. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm signing out now.